from the very first scene of the movie, we see Peter Parker running after a school bus because he just missed it, and he's stepping on the side of the bus, and everyone inside the bus is laughing at him, and not just the kids. I mean, I say kids, like the teenager, they all look like they're 30 years old, but even the school bus driver is laughing at him, and he's not stopping. He doesn't give a shit. And he takes one teenager girl to be the voice of reason. Like Mary Jane Watson is inside the bus. She's talking to Flash Thompson. She sees Peter Parker like knocking on the door and like saying, "Please stop the bus." It's me, it's Peter Parker. She's the one that goes to see the bus driver, and she's like, "Please stop the bus. He's been chasing us since whatever Boulevard Avenue." And only then the bus driver stops. Clearly, this is like the fucking Peter Parker is bullying by everyone universe type of thing going on. And once inside the bus, I mean, it's not over. It's not over. Once inside the bus, like, he's trying to find somewhere to sit down, you know, and everyone is ignoring him. Everyone is like, "Yeah, no, you don't sit there, dude." Like, and then one of Flash goons trips him up, and he falls down on the floor and almost break his glasses. And yeah, that's our introduction to Peter Parker, the world he lives in. And that's only just the beginning, because this movie is completely unhinged. It's crazy. It only gets worse from here. And when I say the kids look like they are 30 years old, I mean, I'm not kidding. Look at this shot. They are in front of the laboratory of the university, whatever they're doing for the school project. And look at the guy on the left with the glasses. That's Flash Thompson. That's not the teacher. The teacher is actually this guy. And he looks almost younger than any other kids in his class. I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, okay, now it's time to talk about the Green Goblin origin story, Norman Osborn transformation scene thingy. I think it's such a nice scene. I mean, it's so good. William Dafoe is such an amazing actor. His facial expression, his body language, acting is so freaking amazing. A couple of scenes ago, we learned that Oscorp has some kind of huge contract with the military there in order to develop some kind of super soldier serum. The same in the comic, it's almost the same as the Captain America one. And turns out they are kind of late on a contract, and the military is like, "Yeah, you have 2 weeks to give me some kind of proof that it's working on human, otherwise we are pulling the contract and we'll give to one of your competitors." Of course, Norman doesn't accept it, and a couple of days later, he's inside the laboratory with one of his chief scientists, I guess, and he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna test it on myself. I don't give a shit. You have to take risk in order to like get better and whatever." And for me, it's completely crazy, because imagine you're the CEO of a $1 billion company, and instead of like finding some type of like test subject out there, you know, like some kind of homeless guy or whatever, you decide you're gonna test it on yourself. For me, it's, I mean, in my head canon, that's the sign that the Green Goblin personality is already inside Norman Osborn, and the superhuman serum is only like kind of liberating this personality, this side of him. Anyway, so he kind of drank the serum, and he threw the bottle on the floor, which I love because it's so useless to do, but I mean, I don't know, that's so over the top. I like it. He goes into this like cage thingy where there's like the gas coming out of the floor. You kind of see like Norman Osborn starts spamming out. William Dafoe is so good. He starts spamming out. You see the white of his eye and stuff. And then we change the shot. They have a monitor where there's like a bunch of abilities, you know, like the strength, intelligence, like reflex, agility, whatever. And you can see the serum maxing out every specs of the human body, basically. And once it's done, normal Osborn just flatline. Like the heart monitor thingy just go flat. So the scientist is, he's fucking scared. He opened the cage. He start, doing chest whatever on him to kind of revive him. And all of a sudden, normal Osborn just wakes up. There's this big shot on his eye. It's freaking so dramatic. He grabbed the scientist by the neck and he says, "Back to formula." He throws the guys out of the door, the glass, which is amazing. I love it so much. And it's funny because the previous scene was when the military are talking about putting out the contract. It's mainly because the same scientists were like, yeah, we're not ready for test human subject. We gotta go back to formula. And there's no normal Osborn on the other side of the room looking at the guy like, what the fuck you saying, bro? That's the military. They're gonna put a contract, bro. So yeah, that's a funny line because now he's like back to formula. Like, fuck you, go fuck yourself. He throws the guys off. And then I think there's this funny moment where I'm gonna say normal Osborn, but for me, at this point, it's not normal Osborn. It's the Green Goblin personality, and he's doing his pose like he's jumping on the edge of the room he was in, and he's doing this fucking weird like goblin posture and laughing like almost like he's some kind of creature or animal that just set free, got free. And again, William Dafoe is so freaking good with his body acting and facial expression. I love it so much. This origin story is, to this day, I think it's the best like villain origin story compared to the comic book. Like, I mean, so freaking good. I love it so much. Okay, now our boy Peter Parker just got his power, okay? And I just want to say a couple of things about how he got his power. So when I went the laboratory of the university or something with the spiders, as he was taking picture of Mary Jane, the spider came down on his hand and just bit him, which is okay, fine. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about. The first one is the spider itself. So it's not a huge spider, but it's not a small spider as well. And I feel like you will be able to feel the spider walking all over you and before beating you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you, but I already had some kind of spider like crawling on me and you can feel it. So when you see the size of the spider compared to his hand, I mean, I can't help myself but think, dude, can't you feel the freaking spider all over your hand? Anyway, and the second thing is, when the spider beat him, if obviously you feel it, you just see the spider and you throw it on the floor. Like, you are in a freaking university laboratory experimenting on spider, like changing their DNA or whatever. One of the spider, a blue and red spider, by the way, which is, I don't think it's very, you don't get a lot of those in the wild. But a blue and red spider beats you inside this laboratory where they are experimenting on a spider. And you just don't think, hey, maybe I should tell the freaking scientist that maybe one of the spider just bit me. No. He just doesn't say anything and go back some, which is over the top funny and straight out of a comic book. But anyway, so when he got back home, he kind of fell asleep, having some kind of a nightmarish sequence where you see like his DNA changing or whatever. And I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was a kid, and when I saw this scene, I was kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie. When he comes downstairs, he like kind of walk all over on the wall instead of the floor, which is a funny way of showing he's already like got his power. When he's at school, he's eating at the cafeteria, and Mary Jane, she's about to work on some, I don't remember what, I think it's like there's some kind of liquid on the floor, and she's about to work on the liquid and sleep up, but because he got his power, he got his spider sense, and he grabs her, takes her tray. As the food is falling down, he kind of like move the tray to catch the food, and it works. That's straight out of a comic book, and I freaking love it. And I'm pretty sure they did like fucking 50 or 100 takes to get the scene, because Tobey Maguire really like tried to catch the food, even though the food and the items were, I think there was some kind of glue on it, so when they eat the tray, they would stay on the tray and not fall down, you know, like roll down on the floor. I think that's a very, very nice way of filming the scene. Just after this, like he kind of shot his first organic web thingy on the tray, and when he's like trying to, you know, pull back his hand, the tray goes flying back onto Thompson's head, Flash Thompson's head, and he's leaving. You know, when he see this, he kind of freaked out. He's like, "What the fuck is happening to me?" Which, by the way, I think it's very unlikely that no one in the cafeteria will see all of it happening. I mean, no one gives a flying fuck. I know it's a high school, but still. Anyway, so as he's leaving the scene, you know, Flash Thompson, he just received a fucking tray on his head. So he's like, what the fuck? What just happened? And you see Peter Parker like leaving the scene, leaving the room. And as he's leaving, the tray is still attached to his spider web. So Flash Thompson connects 2 and 2 together, and he's like, Peter Parker? And next shot is the shot I want to talk about, which is as Peter Parker is about to open or close his locker, whatever, his spider sense activates again, and we have this like bullet time slow-mo scene where we see some kind of fly low, almost frozen in the air. We see some kind of like paper plane stuck in the air as well. As the shot is panning around, you know, you see the fucking huge fist of Flash Thompson coming to the camera like this. And of course, as soon as it's about to hit Peter Parker back of the head, go on the left and doesn't get hit. But I just want to say, if Peter Parker didn't have his spider sense and his Spider-Man freaking power, I'm pretty sure Flash Thompson would have freaking off the guy. I mean, if you think about a shot, Flash Thompson, you know, he's a huge guy. Like I said in the beginning, he looks like he's 40 years old and he's kind of huge. So he's going full force with his fist and trying to hit the back of the head of Peter Parker. I mean, you hit someone like this, as a huge guy as Flash Thompson, I mean, you're probably like sending the guy to the hospital. And it's crazy to think about that. They are just high school kids. And Flash Thompson almost just freaking killed this freaking dude. I mean, from it's unbelievable. I mean, it's over the top and I freaking love it. And just after this, there's like the first time Peter Parker is fighting, you know, like Flash Thompson is like, what the fuck, Peter Parker, what are you doing? And he's trying to hit Peter Parker, but obviously since he got his power, he kind of dodged everything very, very fast. And then as they are fighting, you know, like people are kind of grouping together to watch the fight. At one point, Peter Parker does like a freaking double or triple backflip in the air. Again, no one in this freaking universe is wondering how can a normal human do this. That doesn't seem to shock anyone. And then when Peter Parker decides to hit back at Flash Thompson, he punches him and Flash Thompson goes flying freaking 5 or 10 meters. And again, no one is wondering how the fuck does Peter Parker, probably the biggest geek on school, how is he strong enough? How would anyone be strong enough to punch a big guy like Flash Thompson, punch him hard enough that he goes flying 5 or 10 meters, whatever it is? I mean, for me, it's absolutely, it's crazy. It's so unhinged. I like it. So obviously, right after this, Peter freaks out because even though us as the audience, we know it's because of his powers, Peter Parker doesn't know yet, doesn't really realize yet. So he just freaks out and he just leaves the school. He run away into some kind of back alley, some kind of back street, whatever. And he kind of look at his hands. He see like the freaking huge spider bite. And then he look at a spider, that's hanging up in the corner of the street, and he kind of puts 2 and 2 together, which is one of the way Sam Raimi shows us that Peter Parker is smart, because he kind of put 2 and 2 together very quickly. The way they film this scene where he starts to slowly, put his hand on the wall, and each time he put one of his hand on the wall, there's like this bum, bum, bum. I can't put the music because I'm gonna get copyrighted, I'm pretty sure, but it's so freaking cool. I mean, the way they're showing us how Peter Parker realized he gets his power, he has power, some kind of powers, is freaking cool. He just starts crawling on the wall, and then, he look down, he kind of like yells like, "Woo!" And then he jumps over the building. And again, I don't know how nobody realized there's some guy jumping from rooftop to rooftop, but anyway. And then at the end of the street, or the last rooftop he can have access to, there's a crane on the other side of the street. And that's when we get a scene where he's trying different way to activate his web thingy. So he's like, yeah, go spider, go. And that's just at the very end when he just does a classic flick of the wrist that it's working, and he just go swinging and crashing down on some huge poster, which is, I mean, there's nothing over the top about this scene, but I just wanted to talk about it because for me it's an amazing scene, and it's way better than in The Amazing Spider-Man, I think. This one has so much more like personality and vibe to it that it's so good. It's so good. Now that Peter Parker got the powers, his confidence, and now he wants the girl. And as he's talking to Mary Jane, they're kind of, talking about some personal stuff and whatever. But as they are talking, Flash Thompson arrives in his brand new car, and Mary Jane just leaves Peter Parker. And she goes straight to Flash Thompson and she's like, "Oh my God, it's so cool." At this moment, Peter Parker realized, like, oh shit, if I want the girl, I need a car. And if I need a car, I need the money. So as he's looking through the ads on the journal, on the newspaper, he's seeing the price of the car, and they're very expensive, like 20, 30K, whatever. And as he's scrolling through the newspaper, you see one car that's like 4 or 5K, whatever. And just underneath, he sees an ad for some kind of like fighting and the ad says like 3 minutes in a ring for like 3K, which is, I mean, the first thing that he's thinking is, yeah, I mean, I can do it. I mean, I just fucking threw Flash Thompson 10 meters away and I dodged all of his like punch. So, I mean, I can do it, like I'm the dude. I can do it. He decides to go there. Well, actually, his Uncle Ben brings him here because there's this entire things where Uncle Ben feels like Peter Parker is changing and he wants to know what's going on with him. Anyway, that's when they have this conversation where Uncle Ben says to Peter Parker that, with great powers come great responsibility, which is probably the most iconic line in all Spider-Man comic book, movie, TV show, whatever. It's an important moment because they're kind of living in bad terms, like basically Peter Parker says to Uncle Ben, like, you're not my father, so stop acting like one. And of course this hurt Uncle Ben, and they just leave the conversation like this, and as Uncle Ben is leaving, Peter Parker, instead of going to like the library like he told Uncle Ben he would go, he goes to the fighting cage place, whatever. And I gotta say, this place, I don't know how it can be legal, and it probably isn't. And if it isn't, I don't know how the cops didn't shut it down yet, because it's freaking huge. It's like WWE on crack. The fighting here is not like WWE. It's not acting at all. People living this place, most of them go to the hospital because they get crushed by this one dude that's called Bonzo. And there's even some like kind of fan of him that has this huge like flag that says Bonzo, the disaster master. Or the master of disaster. Which is so comic book. I mean, that's something that you would see straight out of a comic book. I mean, I like it. And as Peter Parker is signing up, the lady that's signing up, she says, "Hey, baby, there's no featherweight in this fighting thing. Like, you're gonna get crushed, and basically the paper you're signing says that we are not liable for any injuries or death that could occur. So good luck to you." And Peter Parker is like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And as the fight is about to start, the guy that's presenting the match, he looks like fucking Elvis Presley as an anchorman, and he's amazing. The actor is amazing. As he's about to announce the next match with Peter Parker, asking him, what's your say name? Like, how do you want me to announce you? And Peter Parker is you can't see Peter Parker yet because he's behind some kind of curtain, and he says, "The human spider." And Elvis Presley look at him and he's like, "Are you serious?" He kind of ignores Peter Parker, and that's when he's saying the next match is gonna take place between Bonzo and Spider-Man, which is how he gets the name. So shout out to Elvis Presley presenting guy, because that's how you get Spider-Man in this universe. So, which is pretty funny for me. Of course, when the fight starts, everyone is booing Peter Parker. Even the lady that the cheerleaders are like, "Yeah, he's gonna break you. You're gonna get someone to cry to when he's finished with you." I hope he's gonna rip all of the 8 legs you got, Spider-Boy. So fucking cringe. And as he's approaching the ring, you see the previous fighter that's completely done for. He says "Oh, I can feel my leg. I'm so hurt." Whatever. And by the way, this is when we get the first spider suit, which is a very homemade, basically a sweater with some sweatpants, and that's it. Which is, very, very believable as a first suit, let's say. And so as he's coming inside the ring, putting down some kind of cage, which is trapping them inside the cage, inside the ring. And Peter Parker is like, "Yeah, I didn't sign up for a cage match." And Bonzo is like, "Hey, freak show, you're going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime." I don't know who the actor playing the Bonzo is, but he's over the top 150% of the time, and it's amazing. I keep saying it's amazing, but it's because the movie is amazing. I mean, I like it. And obviously, Peter Parker just fucking jumps on the cage up top, and where the catcher guy Bonzo can't reach him. And I mean, he ends the fight in 1 minute. He kind of uses his web, swing away in the cage, and again, no one in the area is asking, "How the fuck is he doing this? How the fuck is he swinging around?" He kind of struggled a bit, for 30 seconds, but then once it punched the guy, it's done. In a couple of punch, the Bonzo dude is down, and that's it. And once the fight is done, Peter Parker, obviously is kind of feeling very confident. He's already imagining himself having the car, having the girl, having Mary Jane. Later on, when he's in the manager office, is about to get his cash, to get the 3K. You see the manager is counting the bills, and he starts by giving 1 bill to Peter Parker, which is $100. And Peter Parker he starts to smile, and when he sees that the manager only gives him $100, Peter Parker is like, "Wait, I thought the ad was 3K. And the manager says, "Yeah, well, the ad says 3K for 3 minutes. You were inside for only 1 minute." And Peter says, "Yeah, but I need the money." And the manager is like, "Yeah, well, I forget the part where that's my problem." And as he's saying it, Peter Parker leaves, of course. And as he's about to leave in the elevator, he kind of crossed paths with some guy. And turns out this guy is kind of robbing the place. And as he's robbing the place and as he's leaving the same way the guy came from, Peter Parker was the only thing standing between the robber and the exit. So Peter Parker, because he fucking hates the manager, he kind of let him go through. Once he left, the manager goes to Peter Parker and is like, dude, why didn't you stop him? He took all my money. And Peter Parker says, I forgot the password. That's my problem. I mean, that's such a comic book like exchange between two characters. I love it. Unfortunately, when Peter Parker leaves the fighting building, you see that there's a lot of cops outside and there's a lot of people like grouping up together. So he's kind of curious. He's like, yeah, well, what's going on? What's happening? And as he's approaching the mass of people, he found out that someone has been shot, and turns out it's his uncle. And obviously he gets very, very sad as he's like, holding his uncle's hand and crying. Like his uncle tried to reassure him, I think. As this is happening, Peter Parker can hear on the police radio that they find the guy who shot him and is heading whatever street, whatever way. And you can see the expression on Peter Parker's face changing. He goes from very sad to like freaking furious. That's when we get the very first like swinging scene, like web swinging, because swinging scene could be entirely different thing depending on the context. But that's when we get the first true web swinging scene. And for a 2002 movie, it still holds up very good, I'd say. I mean, of course, you can see the CGI. Eventually, he catches up to the robber and they end up in some kind of abandoned building. And Peter Parker is furious. Like, he only sees red and he just wants to kill the guy. And even though he doesn't kill the guy, he's still not really like holding out his punches. At the end of the day, the robber, when he thinks he has the upper hand on Peter Parker, he kind of aims his gun. Peter Parker obviously like fucking dodged the thing and kicks the gun out of the way. As he's doing it, the robber like kind of walks back, and as he's walking back, he trips and falls down the couple of stories he was in, and he kind of dies. You see Peter Parker, he looks very, very like angry, I guess. The scene is very important because it shows the dark side of Peter Parker, and more importantly, it shows that, it could go either way. It could be a bad guy or it could be a main guy, because again, with great powers come great responsibility. That's when he realizes he has his gift and he can use his gift for whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, he decides to being a hero, to being Spider-Man, which is the entire point of the movie, of the scene. Okay, then some time goes by. Peter graduates from high school, and there is a montage where Spider-Man makes its debut in New York, makes himself known, and that's when we see for the first time the brand new suit, the official one, let's say. I just wanted to say quickly that I think when you look at the very first suit, the one he is using in the cage match, you can see it's very homemade suit, like he's just sweater and sweatpants, which is believable. But this suit is so much more refined. I mean, it's crazy to me that a teenager would be able to make this suit. I mean, with all the pattern on it, like the different like 3D aspects on it, the different color, it's freaking humongous amount of work to make a suit like this. In my headcanon, in this universe, Peter Parker, like when he got bit by the spider, he also gets some kind of like clothes, like making ability powers, because that's the only way he would be able to do it, unless he spent the 3k got from the fight and made an ad in the newspaper saying, hey, I'm looking for a suit, I can pay like 1k if you can make this design come to life, please. But I mean, I just thought I would mention it, which is nothing, not a big deal, but yeah. Then as the Spider-Man montage ends, that's when we are introduced to Jonah Jameson, which is played by J.K. Simmons. Again, promise the perfect casting, the same way as William Dafoe is the perfect casting for the Green Goblin. J.K. Simmons is the perfect casting for Jonah Jameson. At the very beginning of the video, I said this was some kind of like bullying universe. And if this is the bullying universe, I think Jonah Jameson is kind of like the lord of this universe. You know, he's like the master of the bully. The same way like the Bonsall dude was the master of disaster, Jonah Jameson is the master of bullying, because as everyone sees Spider-Man as a hero, is the very first line that he says in the movie is Spider-Man a hero? No way. A vigilante, a menace. Why is it on my front page? I mean, for some reason, he sees Spider-Man as the biggest conman and outlaw out there. You could argue that being a superhero, being a vigilante is not a very good thing, and we kind of see in the MCU movie later on. But it's funny to me that the very first thing he says is, as everyone thinks he's a cool guy, he sees Spider-Man as a menace, which is funny. But again, perfect casting, perfect acting. It looks straight out of a comic book page. It's crazy how Sam Raimi can do this with this movie. For me, it's like no other movie. I mean, no other like Spider-Man movie beside Sam Raimi ones were able to do this for me. Guys, if you enjoy watching this video, if you enjoy watching me saying whatever, please drop a like, drop a subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And also, I'm curious, tell me in the comments, what's your favorite scene in this movie? I'm curious to know which one, what's the scene that will be the most mentioned in the comments. The next thing I want to talk about is the very first fight between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man, which take place during the Oscorp sponsored party or whatever. It's kind of like a celebration day, which is basically like entirely funded by Oscorp. There's a lot of people. It's in the middle of New York. There's also the entire board of the Oscorp company attending the party. They are all in this very higher penthouse almost. What I like about this scene is, first, it established that we have the Osborn board guys at the party. We have Peter Parker, which is on the ground taking pictures probably for like the Daily Bugle. We also have like Mary Jane Watson with Harry Osborn. They are both inside the penthouse with the board members. Like, it's kind of like the VIP meeting area, whatever. And what I found funny is, so Peter Parker is on the floor, okay? He's taking picture of everyone, like the people singing and whatever. And then he is looking up at the penthouse and he sees there's like some board member of the Osborn company. And then he sees Harry with Mary Jane, and they're kind of like intimate because they are started hooking up. Peter Parker didn't notice. At the same time, we switch to Harry being with Mary Jane, and as he's like hugging Mary Jane or whatever, he's looking down and he immediately sees Peter Parker. Like, out of the 10,000 people down like on the floor, it immediately recognized Peter Parker, which must look like an ant from up high. But anyway, I thought it was kind of over the top and funny the way he can immediately recognize Peter. And at this moment, that's when we see the Green Goblin make his first public appearance, I guess. He already made one in the previous scene where he basically killed the entire Osborn competitor that were trying to steal the military contract for them. But yeah, anyway, this is the very first public appearance of the Green Goblin, and I have to say I love the design of the Green Goblin. I love the glider. I love, again, William Dafoe as the Green Goblin is awesome. And first, when people see the Goblin on the glider, they thought, hey, I mean, it must be new. It's like some kind of like attraction, you know, like some kind of performance. But then the Green Goblin like approaches the board members, which are located at the penthouse. In the previous scene, Norman Osborn got fired by the board because basically, since the stock are up and everything is going good for Oscorp, the board member decided to sell the company to one of the competitors. The main board member guy says, yeah, Norman, you're out. Sorry, you're out. You know how much I sacrificed? So the very next scene when there's this party going on and the Green Goblin makes his first appearance. He kind of goes to the penthouse and as a Green Goblin and he says, "Out am I?" And he throws some kind of like pumpkin bomb, whatever, that basically vaporizes everyone except the skeleton for a couple of seconds, and then the skeletons vaporize itself. And it's again a very straight out of a comic book page. I don't know what kind of weapon it is, but it's over the top and it's a very deadly weapon. And obviously that's when Peter Parker sees this, he goes into his full like Spider-Man costume and start to fight the Green Goblin. And I gotta say that the fight is nice because there's very little to no CGI. It's an entire thing during the whole movie. The fights are almost 100% practical all the time. The only part that are CGI is when the Green Goblin is on his glider and or Spider-Man is web swinging. That's the only part CGI in this movie. The fight itself, the punch itself are 99% like practical, and it's very nice. When you see the recent MCU movies, it's the other way around usually, but anyway. So I think the first fight is very good. It's very brutal, and they both get some very nice punch, nice hit on each other. But there's one part I don't really like is at one point, the Green Goblin, after like getting punched by Spider-Man, he goes on his glider. He starts shooting at Spider-Man. For one, Spider-Man went to Prometheus movie like running away of things cool, which is when you have something chasing you go in a straight line. So Spider-Man, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the one thing you're not doing right is you're just running straight. Second, as the Green Goblin is shooting him, somehow all of his shots miss Spider-Man. I don't know why, even though it's a straight line, all of his shots are missing Spider-Man. Then he shot a fucking missile on Spider-Man, okay? And even though in the previous scene, when he kind of killed it, like the Oscorp like competitor, he did it by shooting some kind of missile, and somehow in the previous scene, the missile like kind of blew up an entire military complex building, okay? But in this scene, when he shot a missile at Spider-Man, the explosion, it looks like nothing. It looked like some kind of white fireworks. It's very bad. I mean, I don't know how a missile this big can make this little damage. I swear to God, I'm gonna show the explosion on screen, but that's the only part of the fight I think is kind of underwhelming, especially when everything else in this movie is always over the top, always like 200%, always straight out of a comic book page. This very shot, this very scene, and looks like it's been filmed under budget or something, which is kind of too bad, but otherwise it's very good. And of course, after this, we get the Mary Jane like first saving scene where Mary Jane was on the penthouse as well, and she does fall off, and Spider-Man like catch her and she swing away with her, and that's it. Yeah, the scene beside the later part where it's kind of get underwhelming, the rest of the scene is very top notch and a very good first fight between the heroes and the main villain of the movie. Speaking of saving Mary Jane, the next thing I want to talk about is the second time Spider-Man saves Mary Jane in the movie, which is happening like when Peter Parker and Mary Jane are talking in the street. Mary Jane just like finished an audition for Broadway, and Peter Parker somehow is in the area and start to talk about it. Then Mary Jane leaves Peter Parker. She has to go on. As she is leaving, we see there's some kind of like thugs, gangsters, couple of gangsters. They are looking at Mary Jane. They are starting to follow her, and Peter Parker sees this. And mind you, during this scene, it's raining like a lot. Peter Parker sees this, so he tried to quickly change into his Spider-Man suit. But because it's happening so fast, by the time he gets to Mary Jane, he didn't get his like full mask on. So he has the spider suit, but not the mask. We see that by the time Spider-Man arrives at the scene, there's like 5 or 6 thugs It's very Sammy Raimi-like. If Spider-Man was not here, I don't know what would have happened to Mary Jane Watson. I mean, I'm not sure they were just about to like her purse and money. Like, I think it would have been very, very much darker than what the movie is implying. Thanks God Spider-Man was here, but basically Spider-Man arrives. We can't really see his face because it's at night. It's raining like a lot and there's lightning and stuff. It's very dark. And so of course Spider-Man fights off every one of the thugs, and I mean it's nothing for him. Again, the fight is very practical, very to no little CGI. I mean there's a lot of wire, like of course worked, but it's very practical and I like it. It's very like raw and you can feel the punch from Spider-Man, especially since it's about Mary Jane Watson, so he's very much motivated to stop the gangsters. Again, if Spider-Man was not here, I don't know what would have happened to Mary Jane Watson, but anyway, he fights off the bad guys and we get this iconic, and I keep saying iconic during this video. I think it's like, I mean, maybe I would put an iconic counter, but a lot of the scene could be straight out of the Spider-Man comic book page because that's what Sammy Raimi wanted to do, and I think it works. And maybe it's because like I grew up with the movie, you know, like that's, for me, that's my Spider-Man. Yeah, a lot of the scenes for me are iconic, so I keep saying it, sorry. And yeah, that's where we get the very iconic scene with the upside down kisses. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this scene. Okay, the very last scene I want to talk about in this movie is when Peter Parker is at the hospital because his Aunt May got attacked by the Green Goblin, because the Green Goblin knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and so he decided to play with Peter Parker emotion, you know, by kidnapping his Aunt May and basically kind of freak him out. He's at the hospital and he realized that the Green Goblin is gonna, after Aunt May, you know, is gonna try to do something to Mary Jane. So he calls Mary Jane on her phone. Because no one answers, he starts to leave a message, and as he leaves the message, someone answers. So we're thinking it's MJ, you know, that's answering the phone, but turns out it's a Green Goblin, and the Green Goblin, he basically answers by saying, "Can Spider-Man come out to play?" And there's an exchange between Peter Parker and the Goblin says that, yeah, come out like to whatever bridge and you will have Mary Jane. So that's what happens. Spider-Man comes to the fucking bridge. I don't remember the name. I think it's the Queensboro Bridge, I believe. And turns out the Green Goblin has created some kind of trap for Spider-Man because he's on top of the bridge, and on one side he has Mary Jane Watson, and on the right side he's holding a bunch of kids inside of cabin. He's basically saying, Peter Parker, you know, yeah, you can only save one of them. I mean, which one will you choose? Your dear love Mary Jane or the poor kids that have nothing to do with it? Obviously, Peter Parker is gonna save both of them. I mean, I said both, but there's like 15 kids and Mary Jane Watson. He starts by saving Mary Jane because I guess it's the quickest and easiest save to do. And once he secures Mary Jane Watson, he tries to go for the kids by catching like the cable that's holding the cabin. And so basically is with one arm is holding his spider web, and on the other is holding the cable, which is holding the cabin with the kids inside. Again, very practical, very like real. You can feel the grit of the scene, which is awesome. And again, compared to the most recent MCU movie, it's like the opposite in a good way. As he's trying to hold on, you know, for his life and everyone's life, the kids, Mary Jane, there's some people nearby that are on the boat that they said, hey, hold on, Spider-Man, we're coming with the boat and you will be able to put the cabin on the boat, don't worry, okay? And as the boat is approaching, the Green Goblin is about to fucking ram into Spider-Man. And as he's doing it, there's a bunch of people on the bridge that throw like stuff and tomato at the Green Goblin and say, yeah, like you attack one of us, you attack all of us. I mean, it's very like not something that someone would say in real life, but again, it's something that someone would say in a comic book page about Spider-Man. So I like it a lot. And the movie was released like not long after the 9/11 attack, so I think it was also a way to make the people in America, you know, united and some stuff like patriotic. So the kids end up being secure on the boat, Mary Jane as well. You know, Spider-Man is like, yeah, go down like with the kids on the boat, whatever. And once they are both on the boat, the Green Goblin comes back and he rams through Spider-Man. This time he's successful. and he's taking Spider-Man into an abandoned building. For me, that's when the best Spider-Man fight scene is happening. Not only in the Sam Raimi trilogy, but like the Amazing Spider-Man and Tom Holland Spider-Man. I just saw Brand New Day, so I think the fight in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man are still better. But anyway, I freaking love this choreography so much because it feels so real. Again, there's no CGI, everything is practical, and sometimes you can see the kind of cheap aspect of it being practical. The punch are very, very, very real. Like Spider-Man, as his mask is almost torn up, you can see both of his eyes, and they're both fighting for their life. I mean, if you don't know Spider-Man and he doesn't kill anyone, you could feel in this moment, in this particular scene, that they would kill each other. Like only one would come out alive of this fight. And man, the punch, they are so you can feel the weight with each punch. And that's my main complaint about the most recent Spider-Man movie. It's everything seems so lightweight. The only time that didn't seem lightweight is in Spider-Man No Way Home, when he's fighting William Dafoe Green Goblin again. So that's saying something, I think. But yeah, the punch, everything is so raw, so crazy, so unhinged. And every time I watch this scene, oh my god, like I have shivers all over my body. Like I feel so like, oh, so good. At first, during the fight, the Green Goblin has the weapon. Like he fucking like rams Spider-Man and hits him like from every angle. And there's even at one point, the Green Goblin kicks Spider-Man. Spider-Man's on the ground, laying on the ground. And for some reason, the Green Goblin like does some kind of backflip before hitting Spider-Man. I realized this when I was watching it again recently, and I thought, what the fuck? It's so useless. I mean, in my head, it's because the Goblin is crazy, so that's kind of his crazy way to fight. Like it's kind of like his inner like Jackie Chan way of fighting. That's when he starts to talk about Mary Jane Watson, and he says to Spider-Man, "Yeah, I'm gonna take my time. Like I'm gonna slowly kill Mary Jane Watson. She's gonna suffer, whatever." And that's when Peter Parker, he goes from being beaten to like flipping the switch and going full beast mode. And oh my god, he fucking lays it on thick on the Goblin. Oh my god, like he fucking destroy him in 30 seconds. And at the end, he has the Green Goblin like beat with his last punch. Like he's destroy his Goblin mask, and the Green Goblin knows he's done for. It's over, and his only card left to play is to try to play with Peter Parker emotion. And because the Green Goblin knows that Peter Parker likes Norman Osborn, when Peter Parker is about to lay his final punch, the Green Goblin says like, "Yeah, wait. He take out his mask and he says, "Yeah, it's me, Peter Parker. It's me. Please stop. It's not me. It's the Green Goblin. I'm Norman. Like I'm not myself. Please don't stop." And he tried to play on Peter Parker's emotion because he tried to say, "Please, I've always been a father to you, so please start to act like a son to me." That's when we go back to the Uncle Ben and Peter Parker scene, when Peter Parker said to his uncle that he was not his father. He already had a dad, and Peter Parker says to the Green Goblin, "I already have a father. His name was Ben Parker." Obviously, the Green Goblin didn't care about that. It was just a distraction because while he was saying this, he was kind of activating on his sleeves his glider. The Green Goblin, I don't remember what he says, something like, "Oh, too bad." And he activates his glider with like the fucking blade on top of it, in front, sorry. And obviously, Peter Parker's Spidey sense start tingling. He knows the glider is coming. He does a backflip, and the glider goes straight through Norman and kills him on a spot. Again, the fight from the very beginning to the very end is, for me, is like 10 out of 10, like best Spider-Man fight ever. The only one that comes close to like the fucking raw power and emotion is the one again in No Way Home, when Tom Holland Spider-Man is fighting the Green Goblin. Very, very nice fight. And I hope one day they bring back this kind of practical fight and stop this CGI like soup. Okay, so I know I didn't really talk about every scene in the movie because the video would be like 2 hours, and I really wanted to talk about like the most important scene for me, and the one that are so over the top that felt worth talking about for this video. But obviously there's a lot of scenes that I liked, such as the one where there's Jonah Jameson talking with Peter Parker. I know I just talk about the introduction of the Jameson character, but every scene with J.K. Simmons is pure gold. I mean, again, perfect casting. Is very iconic. There's this scene where there's a fire and Spider-Man goes in to save the last someone inside the building, which is apparently a lady, but turns out it's a Green Goblin wearing like some kind of blanket over his like full-on Goblin suit, which is funny. And there's this iconic fight where he kind of throws away his little thingy that flies. I don't know how it's called, like blade, like Quidditch, Harry Potter style, whatever. And we get this bullet time when Peter Parker tries to like dodge each of them. Ends up like being like kind of cut, or a big cut on his forearm. In the next scene, Peter Parker, Harry, Norman, Aunt May, and Mary Jane Watson, they are all eating together at Peter Parker and Harry's place. Peter Parker is not here because he just fought with the Green Goblin. When he arrives, it arrives as Spider-Man on the room, which is up top. They all hear the noise, so they go upstairs, and Peter Parker barely has the time to crawl on the ceiling, so they don't see him, which is, I mean, for me, it's again a funny scene because even though the ceiling is very high, for me, it's impossible to not be able to see a freaking huge red and blue human crawling on the white ceiling. Especially for Norman, which is supposed to be the best of the human evolution with the super serum. He should be able to see it, but yeah, very iconic scene again. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like in this movie, not the only thing, but my biggest gripe with the movie is the Mary Jane and Peter Parker chemistry relationship. At the end, she's kissed Peter Parker, and it's out of nowhere for me. I think it's didn't really feel anything, and I think it's a theme throughout the trilogy. I think in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the relationship between him and Gwen Stacy is so much stronger, and the same with Tom Holland and Zendaya. It's so much better than in a Sam Raimi's trilogy. This movie is over the top, it's unhinged, and most importantly, it's a love letter to comic book. And I think that's why it works, because Sam Raimi tried to bring a comic book to life, to live action format. It works because they didn't try to be very realistic. They didn't try to do another like generic superior movie or whatever. So is Spider-Man 2002 worth watching? Is it good? Yes, of course. I think it's so good because it's so over the top, because it's so unhinged, and because it really feels like you're watching a comic book. I think Sam Raimi is a good medium between the comic book feeling and the movie medium that you have to respect. And yeah, I think in this very context, the over-the-top dialogue, the over-the-top action, the nonsense that you can have in this universe does work because, again, it's supposed to be a comic book movie, one of the best superhero origin movie, and I mean, it's my Spider-Man again, so it always be my Spider-Man. Anyway, I see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.